The two passages that Eric read a few moments ago, the Isaiah 52 passage and John 1, are creatively connected to one another by our lectionary. And I'm going to kind of toss something out to you guys, and you can take it or leave it. But I'm just going to share this message today as kind of my belief, and you can receive it or flush it. So, the intricacies of incarnation. The term incarnation comes into Christendom primarily through the John 1:14 passage. You know, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. The John 1 passage presents two forms. It starts out with, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So the first concept is the manifestation of the Word. And then later on in this first chapter, in the passage that Eric read, it kind of does a bit of a pivot and says, and it was the light of the world. So you have this incarnation taking the form of Word and light, okay? And all of this is then being identified in the person of Jesus of Nazareth, okay? My premise that I offered to you today, based on my personal belief that you may or may not receive, is that all of us can be incarnation. As a matter of fact, I believe that these passages are actually God's invitation to all of us. And the clue and the basis that I propose this is down there toward the end of our passage. He came to what was his own, and his own did not receive him. But to all who received him, who believed in his name, he gave power to become children of God. Okay. So it becomes expanded from being Jesus, the Son of God, to all of us becoming the children of God. And then I take it to the next level of being God in the world, being Word, being the light in the world to one another. At some point in time when we're one-on-one with each other, I would love to do a brain dump on the physics and the physiology of how I look at incarnation. But I offer to you from the Isaiah passage. Isaiah says, "How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of the messenger who announces peace, who brings good news, who announces salvation, who says to Zion, your God reigns." Okay, let's I'll start there. In the beginning was the Word. So I ask you, and I ask myself, when folks see us coming, are they glad to see us? Are they going to say, "Yay! Steve's arriving"? Because the very presence of his arrival, from past experience, I know I'm going to be uplifted and encouraged and fed. And just the sight of him coming puts a smile on my face. His personification is the very presence of love.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you get my point? How beautiful are the feet. Because, so that means that there is a presumed, already established relationship, such that when I see him or her coming, it makes me glad. It makes me encouraged. Good news is about to be proclaimed to me. And so, is that what happens when we walk in a room? And is that what's going on in other people's minds when we walk in? See, it's up to us as to what kind of demeanor. We're the ones who choose the kind of personalities that we portray and exude. And, you know, oftentimes Eric and I would tease one another about being curmudgeon. What do we call it? Curmudgeons.
Curmudgeons.
It is. How do we, are we the grumpy one? And so folks see us coming and going, oh man, what's about to come out? You get the idea. Okay. The same process is available with the concept and metaphor of light, right? Is our presence illuminating for others? Huh? Or are we the one bringing the dark downer thing? I'm just saying. It's up to us. What is in our hearts? What is in our spirits? What is in our minds? What is in our lives that we can become the manifestation of the love of God? I believe that Jesus chose, that Jesus in his birth was that for each of us, okay? And it is affirmed and reaffirmed by the way the gospel, the infancy narratives, the Luke and the Matthew infancy narratives are unfolded before us. Because this birth was in a manger, not a palace, right? So we are, and all of that goes with that. I mean, for God to say, I'm going to become flesh, Emmanuel, and choose it to be in a manger, already establishes the personality and the nature of this God that says, I really want to reach down to everybody. The lowest, the least, the lost, the lonely, the excluded. I want everyone. So if I start at the bottom, if I look up from the bottom and begin and I proclaim that as my beginning place, then everyone gets hope. Not just the folk that are already up here. Because if you started at castle level, king, queen level, then everybody up would be going, hey, we're reaffirmed in our power and status. But God didn't choose that. And so that I then extend that to you and I to remind ourselves to be humble and to be grateful in all that God has given and all that we have to offer. Because we live in a hurting world with a lot of perpetuated darkness still very pervasive. And folk need to hear good news. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us. Later on in Jesus' ministry, he says, you will hear those say, there is the kingdom of God. It's here, it's there. And he says, but I say unto you that the kingdom is in the midst of you. You and I can be incarnation. We can. Jesus declares it. For he said, those who receive and believe, I will give the power to become the children of God. Usually we celebrate the unconditional love of God, but here actually have to own and wrestle with the fact that this is kind of got a conditional component to it. It says, for those who believe and receive. That's what it says, those who believe and receive. So I have to decide, do I believe it? Can I be light? Will I be word? Will I be illumination? Will I be the love of God in the world? What will I be? Because that then starts to impact folk around us on very intricate and tiny levels. It's not about being in the right place at the right time to do this wonderful, great, big thing that helps a whole bunch of people. No. It's about the day by day by day by day, minute by minute, hour by hour, interactions of how do I what is my state of being? What am I when folks see us coming? Think about what kind of a wonderful, exciting world it would be if each person said, I'm going to be, remember the old, the buttons that used to be back, I guess it was in the what would Jesus do buttons, remember those? Folk would beat to death, you know. WWJD. Yeah, WWJD. My brain just wasn't going. WWJD. And being that, proactively, and with intentionality. Wow, what a world it would be. I'm going to be more Jesus than you today. And we're all competing to be like Jesus with one another all the time. Wow, that's work. That's responsibility. That's going to be hard. That's going to be real hard for some of us. Well, not everybody's angelic like you, Yanina. And so that is the invitation of the Incarnation. As I offer this is my belief. Like I said, God can become flesh in you. That's my message. Can. But it's up to us to let it happen. I wrote a song many years ago called Be Born in Us. Jesus said, I'm not going to sing it. It was a choir song. It was a gospel song that I taught my gospel choir at MCCDC. Be born in us. So that there's not less and less of me and more of God. I'm not going there. I'm saying that there's both. That there's all of you simultaneously in harmony with all of God. Folk who used to talk about, let there be less of me and more of you. No, I don't agree with that. I totally disagree with that. Because God made you to be you. In the fullness of you, your you-ness. But let God have it and use it. And be it in you. The invitation is extended. Would you pray?